everybody, and welcome back to a new episode of Flock's Nest Podcast. I am one of your co hosts, Dallas. As always, wearing number 9, Justin Tucker of the Baltimore Ravens. As your resident Ravens fan, I bring the flock.
I'm Brendan. I'm the other half. As always, I'll be wearing 54, Bobby Wagner of the Seattle Seahawks. As the 12 in the room, I bring the nest.
Awesome. Well, we have a really great show today. We're going to get into plenty of Olympic talk as that wrapped up this week. We're going to talk closing ceremonies. We're going to talk not necessarily controversy, but some drama. We're going to talk breakdancing because that made its debut, and that was definitely interesting. And of course, as always, we're going to talk football. Ravens and Seahawks had their first preseason games. We're going to talk some breaking news, some drama going on there. We're just going to get into all of it. So, Brendan, do you want to kick us off with men's basketball in the Olympics?
So, men's basketball in the Olympics. The U.S. men's team won the gold, taking down France. It was a really good game, pretty close game. It seemed close, and then towards the end, I think probably the biggest thing is Curry is one of the best players in the world. If you watch that game, at the end of the game, there was about 2 minutes and like 20 seconds left, and it was pretty close. I'm I don't have the score in front of me, but it was close. I want to say France was down by like 5 with 2 minutes left, so it could have gone either way. And then Curry stepped up. Curry hit 4 3-pointers in a row, essentially, which just like sealed the deal for the United States. One of them, I think, really ended it, and it was the third one where he shot it over two defenders, both with hands up, just kind of falling back, really awkward looking shot, and it just falls. And at that point, I think everyone knew the U.S. had it.
Yeah.
This was with like a minute left. It Curry just took over the game. It was incredible to watch. Um, for those of you that don't know, I'm a Nuggets fan. So I follow the Nuggets. So when we play against Golden State, I tend to root against Curry. Nothing against him. I love him as a player. I think he's the best shooter of all time. But
No question. No question.
yeah, rooting against him because I want the Nuggets to win. I want him, but like this is the first time in a while I've gotten to really like root for or cheer for him when he's making shots, and it was just electric. Those 4 3-pointers, they were all just like textbook Curry. He gets a man to fly by and he's wide open, and it's just it's gonna go in as he's shooting it. It's not even a
Yeah.
question.
I remember because you and I were watching this together,
Yeah.
and he had two guys in his face, kind of falling backwards. He put it up, and you were like, in. And I was like, bro, what if he missed? And not once. So it was incredible to
Yeah, it
watch.
was.
Um,
And then to continue with the men's basketball, LeBron gets MVP of the Olympics. Um, I think that's completely deserved. I think he was the most consistent
yeah,
U.S. men's player. Um, like Curry had moments, KD had moments. Everybody on that team kind of had a moment in a way, but I think LeBron was definitely the most consistent and the most just was always playing well in the tournament. So for him to win the MVP is just another tick in the box for his career at this point. He's just been so incredibly dominant. Uh, and his longevity doing it is also just a thing to behold. So for him to get the MVP was deserved. I think it made sense. Um, there wasn't anyone else I felt like really should have gotten it. Um, there was arguments for like Nikola Jokic. There were arguments for maybe Curry after the way he played against Serbia and the way he played against France. But those arguments I felt like were mute, especially the ones for like Jokic, because I have the opinion you can't win MVP of something unless you win.
he didn't win.
Like,
Well, and the other thing I just want to comment really quickly, it wasn't even just LeBron's playing for me this year that set him apart. Like, it was incredible to see what he did. There were multiple times he put the team on his back. but you could see, people want to have the GOAT argument in basketball.
Yeah.
And whether you think it's Kobe or MJ or LeBron or whatever, all of those are valid arguments. But I think the one thing LeBron has head over heels above those guys, and you're seeing it really now, is his leadership. He
100%.
is not just a me guy. He will happily step back and let Curry cook. He'll let AD cook. He'll let KD cook. He is not, I have to be the one doing it. I have to be the focal point. But
Mhm.
he always puts every member of that team in the best position to succeed. So he had a great run in the Olympics, but MVP is about more than just that.
Mhm.
And I think, to me, it couldn't have, even if LeBron hadn't scored really at all in that final game, everything he's done at this point and for this series goes well beyond just what he did on the court.
Mhm. I believe it was Colin Cowherd had this take, um, and it was there's only been like 4 or 5 basketball players that have made
Okay.
everybody on their team better,
Yeah.
and I can only remember the three. I think it was 3 to 4, and I remember it was LeBron, Jokic, and Magic. Truly made everybody on their team better. And I think you
Yeah.
saw that with this Olympics for LeBron of LeBron just made that team better. You could see it when he came in, everybody gelled better, everyone played better. Like so I just felt like he
He
made
elevated the people around him.
yeah. And there's something
Yeah.
to be said for that. I don't think MJ did, truth be told. I still think
No, I mean,
MJ was great, but MJ was the focus and MJ was like it was going to be him.
and that was the
If
same way with Kobe. Kobe was like, the offense will run through me.
but I will say like for both of them it was because they knew who they were. And for Kobe, it was he put in the work. He saw how much work he put in. He saw how much work other people put in. He knew he was the one to take the shot because he put in that much work. I
Oh,
think
no, absolutely. I don't think there's any knocking how those guys did it
no.
or like the success they had, but I think as a leader, LeBron's just built different.
And then a couple more things with men's basketball, just like a couple interesting little facts.
Yeah, tell
Uh,
us.
Jokic became the 4th person in the Olympics to ever record a triple double in the Olympics, which is, I mean, that's what he does. Um,
Yeah.
I feel like it gets overshadowed by the fact LeBron has now done it twice. He did it in
Oh,
this
dang.
Olympics, and then he did it in the 2012 Olympics. So he becomes the first person to do it twice. It's only been done 5 times, so now LeBron has done it twice. So I mean, like that's also just incredible to be the only person to
That's,
do it twice of 5 people or 4 people, and it for only to be
yeah.
done 5 times and you do it twice, I think is just ridiculous. So even if Jokic had it, LeBron kind of overshadowed it by being the second person to do it. LeBron also did it against Serbia, which I think in and of itself is interesting.
Yeah.
Jokic did it in the bronze medal game against Germany to secure Serbia's bronze medal. So again, both players fantastic. As I said, I'm a Nuggets fan, so I root for Jokic. He's one of my favorite players to watch. But I have to say, LeBron just the achievement to do it twice, I think, is incredible.
I think LeBron just really impressed me during the
Yeah.
Olympics. I'm not saying that you can't go on YouTube and find 100 LeBron highlight packages. Um, but just to see his energy, the way he elevated everybody, his stat lines, just all of it through this series. Like you said, you're a Nuggets fan. I'm a Jokic fan. I don't have really a team just yet. I wasn't going to be the Lakers, and it still won't be. But I was wildly impressed with what I saw of LeBron during the Olympics.
Yeah. And then I'll pass it on to you for women's basketball. in the Olympics?
This was not nearly as exciting. It was way more stressful. Way more stressful if you watched the women's gold medal match. Interesting fact, it is the first time ever the men's gold medal match and the women's gold medal match were between the same two countries. So it was
Interesting.
also USA versus France. This game was a lot closer. I turned it on and just kind of had it on, figured I'd tune in maybe second half, maybe fourth quarter. I didn't expect a ton of struggles. And then the third quarter came and the USA was down by 10 at one point, and I was like, okay, phone's going away. What is going on? USA just could not get the 3-point shot going. They did come back and take the lead, and then they just kind of traded it back and forth throughout the fourth quarter. USA finally took the lead and was struggling to hold on to it with fouls and turnovers. You know, they recorded 19 turnovers in the fourth quarter alone. They really struggled in that regard. Um, they were able, because of AJ Wilson, uh, to kind of get finally a 4-point lead. And then France cut it by one with a penalty shot. But they had a um the they were able to kind of cut the lead to 4 points, and then France came back with a penalty shot, able to cut it to three at the buzzer beater. Gabby Williams takes a shot to tie it up, and it's nothing but net. But her toe is on the 3-point line. And when she comes down, she's like 2 inches past it. So it was a 2-point shot instead of a three. So the USA won by 1 freaking point at the very end, bringing the final score to 69-68. It was crazy. It was my adrenaline was going, and fuck me, my adrenaline was going, and I wasn't playing, but I was like, holy crap, they might actually lose. Um, MVP for the game was Asia Wilson, which was absolutely deserved. 21 points, 13 rebounds throughout the whole game. Really kind of carried the team, put the team on her back. Um, Without the 3-point shot, they were able to just keep rolling. For me, I think you really saw the resiliency of this team in this game. Just refusing to give up, refusing to not fight back. I do think at the end of the day, France kind of played better in terms of everything they were able to accomplish. The U.S. just kind of got a hold and wouldn't give it up. Um, this does make 8 straight gold medals for the USA women's team. It is the most by any country in a team sport in a row consecutively. So that was really cool. Obviously, this was Tarasi's 6th gold medal, which her and Sue Bird were tied for 5 going into it. Tarasi really didn't play a whole ton. She was a DNP for this final game. She was really there to be a leader and to kind of get that final medal, and that's what she did. For me, and this isn't to get political really in any way, but I think the most heartfelt kind of moment of the Olympics this year was one Simone Biles comeback, obviously, to
Hmm.
see everything she did. That was really incredible to see everything, that happened from Tokyo, and just to see her come back out and compete. But was also watching Brittany Griner um, get a gold medal for the U.S. this year, with everything that happened with her in Russia, kind of all of that stuff. I'm not going to get into it. If you don't know, feel free to go and look it up. But for her to come back and be able to represent her country, uh, and it have this kind of achievement, I thought was really incredible. She was crying when she got her gold medal, and to not know if you're ever going to be in the US again, let alone be able to represent your country, to go from that kind of low to this kind of high, I just think is phenomenal. And it was incredible to see. Really happy for her, and just happy for this team. I think they're 69-0 in the Olympics right now. It's pretty crazy. Um, but you see like all the talent. Like I really think that as a group, the WNBA should kind of begin looking more internationally for some of its players. I'm not saying to take away from what the USA is doing for college and things like that, but there was a lot of talent from a lot of different countries kind of in this Olympics that I think the WNBA could benefit from. We talk about they need more stars, try to get more of that representation of trying like getting people to watch it. And I think there's a lot of untapped potential. But yeah, they did definitely as a group run away with it, and it wasn't even close until this final game, and then I was just stressed the F out.
Hmm. Uh, I wasn't able to watch the game, unfortunately, so I really can't add much to it. Sounds like it was a good game. Really
No, but I
happy.
texted you and I was like, well, that was fucking stressful.
Yeah. Um, wasn't able to watch the game, but yeah, it sounds like it was a good game. Sounds like everything went well, and I'm glad they won. I'm glad to hear everyone on the team was excited. And yeah, sounds really good. Um, Continuing into the Olympics, we're gonna quickly talk break dancing,
Oh my
um,
gosh.
because that made its Olympic debut this year, and it was definitely interesting, to say the least. I'll be the first to say I
Okay.
know nothing about breakdancing or how uh it's scored, how it works, the like general style, but um I felt like there was some countries that didn't do so well and others that did. So I'll pass it to you for the start if you'd like.
So I did watch it.
I did not.
Um, yeah. I, Here's the thing. I did not watch the entire event
Hmm.
when it was happening. I did go back because certain things were brought to my attention,
Yeah.
but I really watched the medal rounds to start.
Hmm.
I thought it was cool to have this kind of representation. It will not be back for the 28 Olympics. That's already been decided.
Hmm.
I do not think it will be back in general because it was very hard to kind of follow what was happening.
Hmm.
Every sport has a quantifiable measuring system,
Yeah.
whether it's speed, distance, points, anything, has something you can track as it's happening. Gymnastics, they do something, they put a score up. They evaluate difficulty, consistency, creativity,
Hmm. Yeah.
repetition, all of these things. Breakdancing didn't have that. So, say you and I were doing this, I would go, the judges would vote, or no, I would go, and then you would go. And the judges would vote on who they thought did better based off those criteria, but they just voted. And
Okay.
then I would go again, and you would go again, and they would vote again.
So there's
And then
no
I
like
would, yeah. And
statistical
then
like.
there's nothing to follow. There's no quantify.
Hmm.
And then at the end, after we both went 3 times, it was whoever had the most votes across 3 rounds won.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
because of that, as a fan that doesn't do breakdancing, I have a hard time following or becoming because I don't know what's happening. I don't know how we're judging this. Like, I thought it looked cool. I can't do it, but that's it. Gymnastics, there are gymnasts going, "Oh, this is probably worth this points. This is," you know what I mean? They're kind of talking you through it so you understand what's happening.
And in
They
gymnastics,
ex-
you can kind of see where like the deductions happen. Like if the
yeah,
landing is slightly off, or if like a trick or like a flip isn't
yeah,
quite right, your eyes can visibly like see
visibly see
that.
that. Now, the one thing they did, which I found interesting, was the competitor, like, say you were going,
Hmm.
I would put this up and it tells the vote or the panelists that, hey, you repeated a trick or a move,
Okay.
but that was kind of it. So it's just it was hard to kind of for me as a competitor, someone that likes the competition. I thought it was really cool to see. I definitely can't do any of that.
No.
Um but I think it's hard to as like an average Olympic viewer, we get into things because they're being explained. It's being dissected for us, and that just wasn't the case with breakdancing. So no, I don't think it'll be back. I think it's a hard one to get into if you don't understand it.
Hmm.
So I do want to mention, just because it's not likely it'll ever happen again, for the men's, Canada took gold, France took silver, and the US took bronze, which I thought was really cool.
Hmm.
Women's, Japan took gold, Lithuania took silver, and China took bronze.
Nice.
Um, and then there were other people that got 0 points and were out almost immediately. We are going to quickly talk about Australia. That was crazy.
That was the first thing I saw of
That was
breakdancing.
crazy.
So I didn't
Here's
watch the event. All I saw was like the memes of it.
clips of yeah.
Thankfully, after that, so I saw like Australia's. Thankfully, after I
uh
started to see more of like, I think I saw Japan's gold medal
Gotcha.
performance for the women's, and then I think I
Hmm.
saw the France's silver medal for men's. So like, I saw the like, I don't want to say how it should be done, but I saw the like,
The better version of
yeah,
it.
the like
It's how it should be done. It's
the
how
the medaling, the like what got you a medal version. Um,
I feel very bad for the breakdancers because unfortunately her performance is the number one thing out there right now.
yeah,
It's what's being shown, it's what's being replayed, it's every meme. It's like every other or every 3 videos when I'm scrolling through TikTok is some version of what she did.
yeah,
Look, we kind of talked about this last week. You do not have to send an athlete for every event. This is not required. You decide how your country is represented.
hmm,
I don't know what made you think this was the best option. I guess she has a PhD in breakdance. I don't even know how you get that. She teaches it as a class. This is crazy. This is something that one colleges probably should become more focused on what we teach. Let's start there. Second, what the fuck? Like,
I don't.
how did you
This
decide this was comparable to what other people were going to be doing?
I don't.
Like,
It's a weird.
like
It's
there
a weird
are
one.
you could go on YouTube and YouTube breakdancing and you still would not find that. You would
No.
not find any version of what she did and go, "Yeah, that it looks the same." It it doesn't at all. It's not even close. I thought it was just crazy. I think sometimes countries need to be more specific or more picky in what we choose to compete in. Like
Yeah.
just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Hmm.
So, and then for their government to come out and be bothered by everyone's commentary, like you doubled down on the mistake, was even crazier. Like, I have eyes. Like, no, I don't break dance, but I have eyes. I can
Yeah.
tell you who's a good and who's a bad quarterback. I can tell you
Like.
I can tell you what's breakdancing and what's not. And I can assure you, if you just put that girl on my screen and said, identify this, no part of my brain would have been like, oh, that's breakdancing.
No.
Like, I'd have been, I don't know. That's the whitest shit I've ever seen in my life. In my life.
It,
And I cabbage patch when I dance. So,
it was definitely
what the hell?
it was like I've seen so many. One I find in particular was like talking about like, did Australia really know what breakdancing is?
I hope not.
That would be
I hope
better
not.
for them. But also could be worse. And why would you send somebody to an event you don't even know what it is? It
And I give extreme credit to the women that she had to compete against. Because I'm gonna be perfectly honest, had some bitch gotten up on stage with me and done that, I'd have been like, "Am I seriously supposed to? Is this a joke? Is this
I
is this a joke?"
part of me would spend the whole time like
Yeah,
just laughing. Like I don't
like
know,
what's to do with this?
or being mortified of like
Yeah,
this is what people think our sport is.
like this is how you've chosen to represent. That's cool. I'm just gonna leave because that's yeah. It was horrifying. Horrifying. Funny as crap. I feel really bad for the breakdancers. Um, for those that achieved a medal or got to perform at this stage. I hope you enjoyed it. I did think it was cool to see.
Yeah,
I don't see a way
yeah.
to make it more popular. You need to be able to get the crowd invested
You need like a scoring
and
system
to
in a
get the
way.
viewers invested. Now they had a crowd, but that crowd was familiar with breakdancing. They knew what was going on. They knew how, they know kind of their system. And we just didn't quite get that insight. So
Yeah,
I
it'll
don't think it'll be back.
we'll see. It's a first time sport, so for it to be left off already of the next Olympics,
Yeah.
I think that's gonna be a hard hill to climb. It's not like a sport that's like, for example, baseball's been in the Olympics for a few years prior to this one, but it was left out of this one. Well,
Yeah.
baseball's been an Olympic sport for a number of years, and it's coming back in 2028. So that's not like a sport I'd be worried about losing in the
Mhm.
Olympics. This is one that's just getting its start. It did not have a great representation at times. Again, happy for the athletes that got their medals, got the chance to do this. But for them to climb a hill of being left off the next Olympics, I think is going to be
Yeah.
a tough one.
W
Um,
Well, and I did find, because I didn't know this.
mhm.
So, for an Olympic sport to be considered established,
Yeah.
it has to appear 3 times consecutively.
Okay.
After that, or other than that, it has to be proposed as a new sport every time the Olympics come around.
Okay. That's
So
a
someone has to, at this point, willingly propose breakdancing, and the Olympic Committee has to agree to it. 2028, they're not going to do it. So you have to do it another 3 times in a row to have this part of your games consistently. And I just don't think there's any way. Like you said, it's a hell of a hill to have to climb.
yeah. Um, Sticking with the Olympics, uh, we have a little bit of drama in the gymnastics. Um, I actually don't know a ton about it, so I'm gonna pass it to Dallas.
Okay. So we're going to start with one. Um, Simone Biles and Jordan Childs at one point decided to praise Rebecca. I'm going to screw this up, so I really apologize. Andrada
That's
during
how I
one
would.
of their um, medal ceremonies because she took gold. This girl has torn both Achilles
Mhm.
in her career.
I saw this one. I
So
saw the
when she took gold, they bowed down to her out of
yeah
respect. It was kind of a fun,
sportsmanshipy.
sweet sportsmanship moment.
Mhm.
Marlon Humphrey needs to shut the fuck up. As a Ravens fan, just shut up. Just
I,
shut up.
I saw the tweet when it happened. It
You have no business commenting on this whatsoever. Because he came out and went, "That's disgusting." Bro, shut up. Shut your mouth. I don't know why you're commenting. I don't know why you think anybody cares what you have to say. I like you, but shut up. I'm a Ravens fan. Be quiet. There was no need for that.
No.
I think the NFL has plenty of moments where people have come back from serious injuries and the stadiums have cheered for them. Other teams have applauded. Let's be very clear. When something tragic happens on a football field, both teams take a knee.
Hmm.
Both teams are emotionally affected.
Yeah.
Both teams pray for their it is less in that moment about competition and more about respect and safety. And that's all this was.
And
Like,
the thing for me is, I don't know, has he, I don't know a lot. Has he ever torn his ACL? I know
no,
he's been hurt a ton.
no,
I don't know the nature of any of his injuries, but you have missed a significant amount of time. I know
yeah,
that.
oh
Uh,
yeah,
how you, as an athlete who has missed significant amount of time in your sport and has consistently come back, can sit there and be like, "This is disgusting." When an athlete has come back from ACL tears, one of the hardest injuries to come back from, and other athletes are respecting their effort that they got gold, for you to sit there and be like, "That's stupid," or "That's
yeah,
disgusting," as for him, what are you doing? You've been in the same situation in terms of being hurt and having to come back to a team. Like, it just doesn't make sense for him to do this. Like,
no.
it was so
And it
stupid from
there was
him.
no need for it. And then he had to come out back out and go, "Well, apparently I'm getting dragged online." No shit, bro. No shit.
Yeah.
Like, this it just wasn't necessary. I don't even know why you thought you should comment. Like, even if in that moment you sat at home and went, maybe I wouldn't do that. Okay, that's a private thought. That's no one made you go out on social media and comment on shit.
No, it
Like,
that one was such a
just be quiet. Just be quiet. I unfortunately did lose some respect for Marlon Humphrey because of this.
100%.
Uh, and then sticking with gymnastics, Jordan Childs won bronze for her floor event.
Yeah.
There's been some controversy around it. Unfortunately, as of right now, the IOC has stripped her of her bronze medal.
Okay.
Romania came back. It got a little complicated. So when it first happened,
Oh, I do remember this kind of.
she was not given a score representative of what she actually did. The judge was like, "Hey, you didn't account for the difficulty of a move." So she jumped in the air, did a 540, and did a full split. So her judge went and said, "Hey," or her coach went and said, "Hey, you didn't account for this." They realized the coach was correct,
Okay.
adjusting her score, giving her bronze over a Romanian athlete.
Yeah.
Apparently, under Olympic rules, maybe it's a gymnastic rule. I'm a little unclear on that. You only have 1 minute as a coach to make those claims.
Okay.
According to Romania, they were like, "Hey, the coach didn't get this done in the proper amount of time.
Okay.
She was over a minute." Now, Romania was not trying to strip Jordan of her gold. She was like, "Hey, maybe," they were like, "maybe the two of them could split it." The IOC came back and said, "No, they won't split it," which is kind of crazy because other athletes have split medals in the past.
It's yeah.
And said, "Hey, we realize the coach got it in 1 minute and 4 seconds. So Romania is correct." So they stripped Jordan of her gold bronze, giving it to the Romanian athlete.
Okay.
The US has now fired back and been like, "Actually, under a different set of rules, she had started the claim at the appropriate time. It just wasn't over."
Okay.
So I am not sure that this saga has ended.
I th- I
I
th-
will be keeping an eye on it, but as of right now, unfortunately, Childs was stripped of her bronze.
okay. I feel like this whole situation's kind of stupid in terms of like if the Romanian athlete, I understand you're trying to get bronze. I respect them for being like, hey, did they follow this because this process is in place, so there's obviously
Yeah.
rules for this. Um, so I respect them for being like, hey, did they follow this process? Like, we just want to be sure because again, this is somebody's like dreams here. But I think at a point, if you're sitting there going, they were over by 4 seconds, but now according to something else, there's like you just had to start it. I feel like at the end of the day, you should just be like, split the bronze and call it a day.
Well, and I think my major issue right now with the whole situation is maybe we should have waited to do anything until the US team, like, I don't know how much the IOC looked into the whole situation.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Of, oh, you're right, it was 1 minute and 4 seconds. We're going to take her medal. Maybe reach out to the US and be like, hey, currently this is what we're seeing. Do you have any evidence to refute this? You know what I mean? It
it's
seems like right now we're all throwing out different points and factors to try and prove who should
it,
have the medal.
here's a I think
And that seems insane. Like, we should have all of the information. If we are going to take away
that's
a medal, we should have all of the information before we do it.
that's why I feel like the IOC is making these decisions like snappy. Like they're
Yeah,
trying to do it quickly for some reason. I feel like they should like gather all the information they can and then
yeah.
go back and be like, okay, US was a little late, but they started the process, so you
Just all the information out
so
there,
you're not just
all the
constantly going,
rules.
okay, well Romania won. Well, no, the US won. No, wait, Romania. No, wait, you because
Yeah,
this flip flopping I think the issue here. Had you okay, you've gone. So the US put in this claim. Romania won on the day. So Romania got the bronze on the day, if I recall correctly, because I did end up seeing
yeah,
something. So Romania gets the bronze on the day. Well, the U.S. is like, well, we made this claim, all this. Okay, we'll hold off until the claim is done. We've seen this, and then Romania gets their chance to rebuttal and be like, wait, was this claim put in the right time? Like you do all of this, and then you sit there and go, well, the U.S. made the claim. It was in the appropriate amount of time. Uh, we have now decided that this is a bronze medal for Childs.
yeah.
Rather than now you've gone,
Or not.
yeah,
Or it's Romania's. But then you have, like, it's an act. Now we're not going back and forth, and you're not taking something away from somebody,
like you might
like,
have to
without
anyway,
the information.
but now you're doing it like over and over and over again, and now it's like, well, these athletes don't even know what to believe at this point.
Yeah,
Um, so it's a weird situation. I am very curious to see how it's resolved. Um, but yeah,
yeah. And then just to kind of finish out the Olympics as they are over, the US and China tied for gold medals at 40. Kind of basketball put them over the edge on the final day for that. But the US did kind of destroy in terms of total medal counts with
yeah,
42 silver, or I'm sorry, 44 silver, 42 bronze, and 126 total.
mm,
And China came in at 91 total at the
okay,
next highest. So obviously great, accomplishments for the U.S. Really happy for them. Really happy for us as a country. Just to see the athleticism, you know, we talked about there were things that we finally got into. I saw the other day that a canoeer took silver for the US, a women's
yep,
canoeer, and we'd been getting into that. But it was really awesome. There is something I did take note of, and I'm gonna kind of circle back to it later on when we talk football.
mm-hmm,
This was a record low for number of records broken
okay,
at the Olympics at only 17. Now, to me, that's a lot. Like, 17 world records broken seems crazy, but apparently it's just been on the decline since Beijing, where
Interesting.
there was 22 world records broken. It used to be, I guess, a lot more common during the Olympics. Not to take anything away from the athletes, but I do think it's an interesting note, and I am going to bring it back around later if our viewers are still with us when we talk quarterbacks, actually. I'm going to bring it up.
Okay.
And I know you're confused. We didn't talk about this beforehand, but I am going to bring it up. I find it really made me think about something. I did
Okay.
a lot of self-reflecting this morning when this fact was brought to my attention.
Okay. Uh,
Um and then we had closing ceremonies. So Brendan, do you want to talk about closing ceremonies?
yeah. Closing ceremonies were, I don't want to call them boring because people
But
might have found them interesting. I did not. I The closing ceremonies was a like karaoke style. Like teams just
yeah.
kind of were able to sing along. There was this like, I don't want to call it play, but like a demonstrational thing, like a play. It was kind of interesting, but as a whole, opening ceremonies was kind of boring. But honestly, I think that is kind of for the best, considering what France did for the opening ceremonies and
Yeah.
how much of a shit show that was, to put it kindly. So for them to just give us a pretty classic, pretty standard closing ceremonies with everyone walking into the arena and having just like this pretty well done, like a culmination of what the Olympics was, um, is probably a good thing. Again, not the most interesting thing to watch, but uh, I don't. I'm not necessarily going to complain because there wasn't anything either that I'm like, this was stupid, this was out of line, this is just
Yeah.
adding to the controversy. So I think that in and of itself makes it probably a good closing ceremony.
I think it was very elegant in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I thought the way they raised the five rings was kind of interesting.
Hmm.
But yes, it was boring. It was very vanilla. But like you
Yeah.
said, I think that was for the best. I did learn something actually watching closing ceremonies.
What?
I did not know that the five rings are meant to represent the five continents that perform in the Olympics.
Hmm.
It's only five because we leave out Antarctica, and they can. When the Olympics first started, North America and South America they lumped together under one ring.
Oh.
So I did not know that's why there was five. I just kind of thought this is what we do. This was the image we made. But there was a reason. There is a reason for it. So fun fact.
I didn't know about the lumping North and South
Yeah.
America together.
Yep. They
Okay.
lump North and South
Cuz
America, and that's why there's only five.
you said 5 for the continents and I was thinking in my head, I was like, but there's 6 without Antarctica. I was like,
'Cause, uh,
am I stupid? But no. No, that makes sense now.
I thought about it when this was brought up. I was like, is there another continent you could like lump with somebody? Like, who did we not count or what? And yeah, they said it during
Okay.
the raising ceremony. They were like, we don't count Antarctica. And when the Olympics was first done and this logo was first created, they just kind of lumped North America and South America together.
Okay. That's
So,
interesting, I guess. But
um, yeah, it was just a fun fact that I did not know.
yeah, that's very interesting, I guess.
And then, all right, now on to football. Finally getting into everything as the season starting with preseason
Mhm.
games. We're gonna talk breaking news, and kind of or what we are waiting on news wise.
Yeah.
You mentioned before we started there was something going on in Jets camp with Hassan Reddick.
I
So
kind of
tell
want to do
me,
that. I want to do that last,
you
actually.
want to do it Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
I think this is a bigger
So,
one, so I think
okay.
last.
Um, let's talk Cowboys Crazy Town
Yeah.
because I have some things on the other one, and you have things on the one you want to do last. So let's talk Cowboys Crazy Town. If you have not seen, Jerry Jones was asked last week about CeeDee Lamb's contract.
Yeah.
And it was a weird press conference. It was weird. because he was like, "I'm not in a hurry," and then was asked why he's not in a hurry, and his response was, "Because I went to high school." I don't know what the fuck that has to do with
I
anything. I
don't.
don't know how that relates to owning a football team
If
or managing a football team.
that's the
I'm confused.
requirement, shit.
Yeah, cool. Let me go GM one right now. I think I would do better than a couple people out there. I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you. Um, and then they played their first preseason game, and his response drastically changed
Yeah, yeah.
because with 4 turnovers, from the Chargers, they still or the
Rams.
Rams. I'm sorry, the Rams. They still could not score a touchdown.
Yeah.
So now you are wildly missing CeeDee Lamb.
Mm-hmm.
So I would be
Um,
kind of shocked if that deal is not done within
tomorrow.
the next week or so. Yeah.
No,
I mean the fact that it's still not done is kind of crazy to
I,
me.
he,
Like we're halfway through Monday. What the hell are you doing, bro?
yeah. Jerry Jones is just a interesting
Um
character as an owner,
that
and
was crazy. That was crazy. Um and then obviously we're still waiting on Dak's contract. I don't expect him to get one done this offseason. I really don't. I
no,
think he's going to hit free agency. Whether he re-signs with the Cowboys or not is still to be seen. I'm not going to say yes or no on that fact, but I think he wants to see what the market is like out there
I
for
think
him.
I think we'll see how the season goes before I
Yeah.
truly decide where I think he'll go. Um, but yeah, he'll get someone will sign him, uh, and it'll be
Yeah, I
a
mean, there are at least 3 teams that need a quarterback, at
yeah,
least.
and he's gonna probably be the highest paid quarterback in the league after it. If
It's going
all
to honestly, it's going to come down to who signed first, him or Purdy.
that, yeah,
Like
we'll
that's
see.
what it's going to come down to.
Um,
Um As I mentioned, Purdy,
mhm,
49ers have gotten interesting.
yeah,
Brennan, do you want to tell us about this? And then I have some things that I'm going to share. I have a thought
okay. So
train.
it was last week. There was a bunch of reports that Brandon Ayuk had been traded. Um, it's not true. He is still with the 49ers. There are trades in place. There were trades in place with Pittsburgh, New England, and the Browns. Um, New England has officially pulled out of those trade talks. They're just not willing to give up the capital and give up the contract Ayuk is looking for. Um, and Ayuk doesn't seem to be wanting to go to the Patriots, so the Patriots seem to be out on Ayuk. So right now we're just waiting to see who of the two, or possibly even someone else, comes in to trade for him. But it seems all indications that Ayuk is probably going out the door in San Francisco. San Francisco also today actually signed Chosen Anderson, formerly known as Robbie Anderson. For anyone that doesn't know, uh, he was a former Dolphins and Cardinals and wide receiver. He's been in the league for a little bit. There's a team I'm forgetting he played for, but it really doesn't matter. Uh, he's been in the league for a while. He's just kind of a middle of the road wide receiver, but it's just another veteran they're bringing in. So this could really spell the end of Brandon Ayuk's time in San Francisco. So I'll pass it to you for any.
So I was thinking about this today. I was
Okay.
thinking about it. Um, I'm about to say something, and you have to stay with me because you're probably gut reaction is to disagree with what I'm about to say, and I totally get
I'm
that, but you
all
gotta
right.
stay with me here.
All right.
I feel like an elite wide receiver
Mm-hmm.
is kind of like an elite kicker. It's cool to
Okay.
have, but it's not necessary.
Oh,
So when you are an elite wide receiver, you have to make a choice. And this is the only position this occurs between am I going to win and am I going to put up great stats and am I going to be me? Or am I going to take money?
okay.
The reason I compare the two, because they're not the same at all. A wide receiver does way more than a kicker. I'm not trying to undervalue a wide receiver or trying to like diminish what they do for a game. But wide receivers come out of every round of the draft and hit.
Yeah.
First round, second round, third round. You think, crap, what's his name? The new guy in Rams, in the
Puka
Rams.
Nakua was a fourth round
Puka
pick.
Nacua was a fourth round pick.
There's been
And like it
for
happens all the
yeah,
time with wide receivers that if you have a good quarterback and you are not alone on the field, like if there are two decent wide receivers, you're going to have pretty solid numbers. You can have good production as long as you can catch the ball.
yeah.
As long as you don't have a drop problem, you can be a good wide receiver in the NFL.
Mhm.
To be elite, when you talk your top 5 wide receivers, none of them are actively on winning teams because they wanted money. They wanted the money for what they do, for their production, which is fair. You have every right to do that. But you have to make a choice. No one in their right mind believes Tyreek Hill went to the Dolphins because he thought they were more likely to get him another Super Bowl.
No, not even kind
That
of.
was not the choice made. He went to get money. Devontae Adams, I do not think honestly would tell you he thought he was more likely to win a Super Bowl
With the Raiders.
with the Raiders. He wanted to play for with Derek Carr and he wanted to get paid. And I respect that. I'm not saying that's the wrong choice. You're allowed to do that. You have to take care of your family, your life, you have to plan for your future, all of these things. But as a wide receiver, you have to make a choice of what's important. I feel like Brandon Ayuk is trying to have his cake and eat it too.
Mhm.
You want to get paid. You've made that abundantly clear. You want to get paid. Now, I think your talent is worthy of being paid. I do not think you should get to turn around and be like, well, I don't want to play for a team if we're not going to win. Well, bro, you have to make a choice. There are only maybe 4 or 5 teams actively pursuing a Super Bowl this year.
Yeah.
End of story. I don't care that Aaron Rodgers thinks there's 8 to 12. That's insane. That's not true. There are maybe 4 or 5 who can genuinely contend.
And get there.
And that's league total. You have to pick. If you are going to leave the 49ers because of money, then you've chosen money. To turn around and say, I don't want to go to New England, who was willing to pay you 31 million, was willing to give the 49ers what they wanted, and go, well, I don't think they're going to win. Bro, you can't tell me that's a priority. You currently play in the NFC powerhouse. That's what they are.
Yeah.
They're in the conference game. They've been in the conference game 4 out of 5 years. They've been to the Super Bowl multiple times. Like, if you want to win, you would stay where you are. But you want to get paid. And that's fine. But then that's the choice you're making. So, and I don't know why you think you're more likely to have a bunch of wins in Pittsburgh. Like, I don't know what you've seen that you think that's the answer. You could be a number one high value, high target guy in New England. And maybe it's going to take a year or two for them to truly develop. But if you want to be part of an organization that makes a difference or does some things and you want to get paid, that's what you do. You have to go to a bad team.
Mhm.
You have to be the guy. So this to me was crazy. We talked about where they might go. I really thought New England, I thought that was a great place for him. I'm not saying maybe there aren't other issues there with the history or how New England is currently perceived as a team.
But this is
But bro, you can't have everything. Like if you want to win, stay where you are because I promise you the Chiefs are not going to pay $30 million for a wide receiver.
no.
The Ravens are not going to pay $30 million for a wide receiver. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. The Lions aren't going to do it. They just paid Amon Ra. That's good enough for them.
Yeah.
You know, who's a the Packers. They have a core. They have a young core. They don't want your attitude because that's not what you've shown as well. Is that you're going to be a diva? They don't want that bullshit. They're not going to pay you. AFC, the Bills. They just got rid of their attitude problem. Do you think that they got rid of Gabe Davis and
Stephon Diggs.
Stephon Diggs because they aren't good wide receivers? Nope. You have to pick. And if you're going to pick money, but then I don't want to hear I only want to win. Bro, you don't. That's not your priority. It's not. And that's okay. It doesn't have to be. Not everybody wins. Not everybody gets championships. I think wide receivers have kind of that leeway of my career is not determined by championships. That's way more a quarterback stat. It impacts quarterbacks going into the Hall of Fame. It doesn't as much with wide receivers. So that's fine. If you're like, a ring is not my priority, a money is. But then, bro, that's the priority. Get over yourself. You're
This
good. You're
is
not that good. Calm down.
yeah. This is as a Seahawks fan, I'm kind of like, bye. Like,
That's fair.
do what you want. It's just stupid though. Like, I mostly agree. Of like, you don't need a $30 million wide receiver to
You
win.
don't.
You
The
need
Chiefs
guy.
prove that.
Yeah, the Chiefs have proven that. Their highest paid receiver right now is Hollywood Brown, who's not getting shit. Um, and then like, yeah,
Or Tyreek
Kelsey.
Hill at make or Tyreek Kelsey making 14 million.
Yeah.
They win the Super Bowl. It's if you want
So
to win, I would take a pay cut and call the Chiefs. I'd be like, I'll come play for 5 million. Get me a ring.
yeah, like if you
If
want
that's what you
that,
want.
or stay in that, or take a pay cut in, or take a lesser pay raise in San Francisco.
Yeah. Take a hometown discount and make a run. It's just this fundamentally like ticked me off. I was here for Ayuk. I understood it. I was in his corner.
Yeah,
And then you went and pulled that.
it's definitely weird, especially because I think the Patriots are a team that I like really, because you would be the guy for a
Yeah.
rookie who eventually is going to be like Brissett's going to be replaced by May. You're going to have a young quarterback that's going to want to target you because you're the
Yeah.
only guy there. I don't. It's
And,
just a
and you could be
weird.
part of like to me, for a wide receiver, like if you're not gonna pick rings, pick money and be a part of change. Turn the Patriots into what they could be. Be a part of that. You know what I mean? To me,
Yeah.
that's something to hang your hat on.
It.
And instead, you're like, I want to win. So the logical option is Pittsburgh. What the? Did you have? What football are you watching?
Yeah. It.
Like, did you watch the preseason game?
Do you
Did you
want
watch
to?
it? Because I did.
You
I
want?
did. After I listened to everybody talk about, oh, maybe Justin Fields will take the starting job. 3 years in Chicago, and we think maybe he's a starting quarterback in the NFL?
It. Yeah. It. And then you want to play for him or a washed up old ash Russell Wilson?
Yeah, and you're not bitter at all.
Oh, I'm
I
a
mean,
dude. That
no,
trade, happiest person on the planet.
but like, but that's what you want to. That's where you think you're going to get success. This is crazy.
I'm
They're in
so
the toughest division in football, contending with Lamar Jackson,
Joe
Joe
Burrow
Burrow,
and
and the
that
Browns
defense.
defense. And you're telling me Pittsburgh is where it's at because they go 9-8 every year. What?
I. It's such a stupid. If it wasn't for what I'm about to talk about, it might be the dumbest thing that's happened all week.
Tell me what's going on in Jets training camp. Tell me how
Oh,
this team has become more of a train wreck, Brendan.
Joe
Tell
Doug
me.
Joe Douglas, the GM of the Jets, might be the worst GM in the league. I said might,
Okay. Oh, that's
might.
crazy because we
What
all just saw Joe Shane implode on national television.
it so for those of you who don't know, Hassan Reddick, one of the best pass rushers in the league for a couple of years now, is getting a little older. Had the worst year of his career with the Eagles last year. He was
Yep.
traded to the Jets, and in that trade was promised, or was pretty much implied that he was going to get a new contract with the team that traded for him. The
He
Jets.
did he wanted what Ayuk's trying to do. If you're gonna trade me, I need to be guaranteed a new contract with this team.
Yeah. So he gets traded. The contract never happens in the season. That's not necessarily that surprising. You know, people are trying to focus on winning games. GMs have a lot to think of. Like, it's not the most surprising thing that a contract does not get worked out during the season.
Yeah,
Like that's just a thing. Like it happens. Like they're busy. They have shit to do. You have shit to do. That's not what you should
yeah.
be focusing on. So I think he accepted that maybe he wasn't going to get the contract during the season, but then during the offseason, he was going to get that new contract. He has not. So he has been a hold-in since the start, or no, a hold-out, I'm
Hold
sorry,
out.
hold-out since the start of training camp.
Yep.
Today, after couple weeks since the start of training camp, has officially requested a trade from the New York Jets. So it's been reported he's requested a trade. He's done. He does not want to be a Jet anymore. Here's where it really gets interesting. Okay.
Tell me. I'm excited. I'm excited.
Joe Douglas has now come out and has responded to his trade request. And this is
What?
verbatim. This is what he said. I'm reading it straight from him. We have
Okay.
informed Hassan that we will not trade him, that he is expected to be here with his teammates, and that he will continue to be fined per the CBA if he does not report. Since the trade discussions back in March, we have been clear, direct, and consistent with our position. Our focus will remain on the guys we have here as we prepare for the regular season. You stupid. You told him he was going to get a new contract. In what form are you saying that you are now being consistent? You are not. You told him you were going to pay him. You told him. It was implied when you traded for him that you would pay him. You're now coming out and going, "No, we're not paying you. You can play on your contract that you still have for one more year." Like he still has another year left.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous to me that you have now come out as a GM and responded publicly to what's happening. This is not something you do.
I don't think a GM has ever. Like, I'm probably wrong.
You're
Like
probably wrong. I can't think of
I'm
an
probably wrong.
example, but you're probably wrong.
But I cannot think of a single time a player said something, right? Said something, anything. And the GM came out and flatly told you to fuck off.
Yeah, because that's what he did.
Because look, that's insane. That's insane. Because why wouldn't you like because how is this benefiting either of you at this point?
It's not.
Okay? No matter what as the GM you think of the situation, if you and Reddit can't come to an agreement on a deal, why wouldn't you just naturally be looking for trade options? You know what I mean? Why would you not just naturally be like, okay, clearly there's a disconnect or there was a misunderstanding or whatever. But to come out and throw the fines in his face and throw like all of you're expected to be here with your teammates. Bro, if I gave a shit about that, he would be there.
That's
If
my
he
thing.
gave a shit, he would be there.
He's been in the league for
He
long
doesn't.
enough that at this point in time, he does not care. He does not care. He is
Like,
going to sit there. He will take the year off.
yeah. I'd be
He
like,
will not play
so
unless you like.
this is just
It's
I
just
think this is us okay, as a GM, you want to respond. Like the appropriate response is we have no interest in trading him. We are trying to get a deal done. That's it. You could say that. That's acceptable. You could have said, We're considering trades. We're looking into all our options.
Yeah.
You could have said multiple things that didn't make you look like an idiot. And a disrespectful one. Like, Hassan told the team, hey, trade me. They reported Hassan Reddick requested a trade. And then you come out and publicly have this, like, bro, you have his phone number. You could have texted him and nobody would have known.
Yeah, it is
But
a
now you look stupid.
it
You
was
look
a
stupid and you look like an asshole.
it was a ridiculous thing to do. Like it
And like football players are prideful people. Do you think he looked at that text and went, "You know what? You're right. I should come in." He went, "Fuck you, bro.
like you tweeted this, man. Like
Like, I'll stay at home longer. Like, play games with me, son."
like it it's not
Like,
going to have the desired effect. I
no.
I promise you. If he's not traded, I think he does not play this year.
There's no way. There's no way now. Maybe he'd have shown up week 2. Week 1 or 2. You know what I mean? Of like, all right, fine. I'll play this year. I want other teams to see what I can do. Fine. Now he's like, screw you.
But at the
I'll
same
sit home.
time, he's Hassan Reddick. Teams know what he can do.
There will be teams. We talked about this. Bobby Wagner. Bobby Wagner did not get a contract with Washington because of what he is. He got a contract to be a veteran in that locker room, to be a leader.
And still be productive in the process.
Yeah. So
Whether it's
even if
his prime,
Hassan is like, if they're like, oh, he's not what he used to be, someone will give him a contract
like shit.
simply to have a level of production and that veteran aspect in the locker room. I promise you. I promise you. He does not give a shit about your CBA fines. Pay him or trade him.
And if I'm him, I'm not signing for that team at this point.
Not now. Not after that.
You
That's
either
crazy.
you trade me or I don't play this season and my contract's done and I go anyway and you get nothing.
Nothing.
You might as well trade me.
This is the epitome of fuck around and find out. That's what this is.
Yeah,
That was crazy. That's the stupidest thing in the world.
Yeah.
And I seriously watched Joe Shane the other day go, I don't know what's going on with Saquon.
At least
So,
that I can sit there and go, you know, you tried.
You tried. And this just makes you look stupid.
Yeah. And when I saw it this morning, I seriously sat there and went, what are you doing?
There's no way he signs with you now. It's not without an excessive amount of money, of an apology money. That's what it is now. Now it's apology money.
Yeah, you cut him a check for like double what he's worth, and that double, half of it is like this is what you're worth. The other half is
I'm sorry, I'm an idiot. I'm sorry, I'm stupid.
Yeah, we need you. I'm
That's
an idiot.
Insane.
Yeah,
that's insane.
I was dumbfounded when I saw it this morning.
Yeah, what is with GMs right now? Sticking their foot. Like, because Jerry Jones is the self-proclaimed GM of that team.
Mm-hmm.
I have no urgency to get CeeDee Lamb done.
We're all
Reddick
in.
needs to come in because he's getting fined, and I'm gonna say things publicly that I have no business saying. Like, what's wrong with you people? What? Seriously, what is the criteria for being a GM? Can I get hired? I can assure you, I'll not be tweeting Hassan Reddick per our policy. That's what that is. That's like a business email that says per our policy.
Yeah.
Per my last email. Like, it's just
it was ridiculously stupid.
Hassan Reddick be like, I want this money. I'm like, sounds good.
Honestly, if I'm Hassan, like I am, I'm just
Especially
on my couch.
Because like, who else are you playing? Seriously, who else are you paying?
Rodgers.
That you can't pay Hassan what he wants.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Like you traded for him. Now you owe him a contract. That's the deal. That's how it works.
I will bet there are offers. I bet if they don't decide to trade him, he doesn't play. So I guess we'll
Yeah.
see how this
I
resolves itself.
I they'll get offers. I
I
mean, the Jets are not known for intelligent business decisions.
if they're
So my
intelligent,
fear is that now it's become a pissing match of they'll get offers for him, and out of some pride, spite, God knows what, they'll be like, "No, we ain't dealing him." And then next year he walks away,
for
and
for
you
free.
spent draft picks on him because you traded for him. So that's crazy.
Yeah,
So
you let him walk for free. He barely played for you. This whole situation is just
it's
stupid.
insane. It's insane. And I watched their preseason game. Y'all could use all the help you could get.
Yeah.
Just so we're clear. I watched it. It wasn't good.
You know. What do we know? What
That's
do
I know.
we
Yeah,
know?
we're just fans. We're just
We're just
kids as
here.
fuck.
Uh,
Yeah, hire me for a day. I'll fucking fix that goddamn team. All right. We've talked a little training camp. We are now going to get into our teams. I'll start with Ravens. Their game came up first. It just kind of worked out that way.
that's fine.
Um, Ravens fans, we just have to stay calm. Okay, we have to stay calm. It doesn't look serious. Um, the game, it they didn't win. They lost to the Eagles. That doesn't surprise me. They started two starters um throughout the entire team. Um, but they look good for what they did do, for the things I was kind of keeping an eye on. Rosengarten and Voorhees made really good cases to be part of the starting line. They played really well. They had a great performance. Harbaugh is Harbaugh, so when he came out and was asked about it, he said, "No, we have not made any decisions. It will still be a couple of weeks." I think the decision's been made. I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you. They played way too much for me to think there were other options. They were clearly who you wanted protecting the quarterback. I just think we're not comfortable saying that right now before cuts really happen, before those conversations are had privately with those guys, because the Ravens do not come out and insult people publicly. That's not what they do. Well-run organization. All I'm gonna say. Orr's defense, this was kind of our first look at it. I was impressed with what I saw. I was excited for what I saw. A lot of pass breakups.
Hmm.
Wiggins played really well.
Yeah.
Um, he did leave with an injury in the third quarter. That was concerning. They did say it's not serious. He is day to day at this point with a shoulder sprain. But obviously, it's concerning, especially when there's several injuries happening to the defense, which I will get to here in a minute. But he looked great. A lot of pass breakups. He was staying really well with the wide receivers. He wasn't getting broken out of from.
Yeah.
The thing that concerned me, I took note of this last year,
Hmm.
that the Ravens defense looks like they've changed kind of how they're tackling to avoid the hip drop, which is now a penalty if you swerve into them. We talked about that with that hip motion. If you like
Yeah.
slide into them. So we decided that all of our tackling, we would be diving at people's ankles. Um, I'm concerned about the effectiveness of that and the longevity of that, because I saw someone on the Eagles do it where he dove at his ankles, he put a hand down, and if he'd been more talented of a wide receiver, his feet would have come down after him and he'd have ran away with that damn ball. We still have to be wrapping guys up.
Hmm.
We still have to be ensuring the tackle. Now,
Yeah.
yes, do it safely. We want everyone to stay healthy. Yes, avoid the penalties. I am not convinced that this is the best option. That made me concerned a couple of times during the game. So we will see kind of how that all works out.
Yeah.
We also had really good performances from Kane, who left with a stinger, and Owen Wright. who was an undrafted free agent. He's currently competing for the running back 3 spot with Keaton Mitchell out. It's kind of him or Rasheen Ali. Wright really made a case for it to be him. And the Ravens, it is not unprecedented for them to release draft picks if
Yeah.
their undrafted guys do better. That's who they are. They are very much into the best guy for the job, the best guy for this team.
Hmm.
They don't care. They'll move off you real fast. They put a lot of effort into their undrafted free agents. They do it very well, especially their local pro day. Um, so I don't think that gives Ali really a leg up. I think it would in other teams or other organizations. It doesn't here. And Wright had a really good showing, so that was exciting. Um, the one kind of bummer we had talked about um Islami. Um Islami? I think it's Islami. I'm gonna fuck this name up. Kader Ismail is remember? Fuck me. Hold on.
No.
Ismaili. Okay. Yeah. Um Kadarius Molly is a tight end for the Ravens right now. He is on the 90-man squad. I wanted to see more of him because what's very interesting, or at least what I find interesting, is this year the Ravens are on Hard Knocks
Hmm.
um, during the in season. The Ravens were also the first team ever on Hard Knocks. There is a footage of a guy and his son. That guy is Kadar Islami. You can see his son in the footage. That guy is now playing for the Ravens trying to make a spot.
That's very cool. Very,
So it's
very
exciting,
cool.
it's fun. Yeah, like it's just to see the evolution, to see over time these guys do these things. Um I told you, I maybe it wasn't you. There's someone else I talk football with, just not I talk football at. Um I don't think I'm not convinced he's gonna make the team, especially as a tight end.
We talked about this.
Um, but I'm really rooting for the guy, so I kind of wanted to see a little more of him in preseason. He played one series and he had one target. Typically, either that means you're going to make the team and they don't want to risk the injury, or you're not going to make the team and they know it.
Yeah.
So I'm hopeful. I kind of get a kick out of the legacy stuff. Obviously, Keaton Mitchell's dad was on the 2000 roster, part of their Super Bowl run and their Super Bowl win. Um, so I'm into the legacy of it. I think it's really cool to see. I'm rooting for the kid, but
It's
unfortunately, I don't know how likely it
not looking
is.
likely.
No, because he has to contend with likely. Um, he doesn't actually. He has to fight Kohler for the job, and I
Yeah.
don't think you're gonna take it from him.
Nah, probably not.
Um, and then just injury news really quickly. Hamilton left practice with a leg injury. Doesn't seem serious, but his legs are kind of always messed up. So we're just hopeful that he has a speedy recovery, gets back soon. He is projected to start still week 1, so that's exciting. TJ Tampa, our other corner draft this last year. He's getting there with a sports hernia. He is another one. He's projected to be ready by week 1, but I wouldn't expect to see him back at training camp. Bateman with a shoulder should be back soon. I don't think he's day to day just yet. I think they're projecting within the next week or so, though. Arthur Millette had to have his knee scoped, so they're expecting him to miss a couple of games to start the season. He is on the pup list. I would bet if we get Tampa and Wiggins back, I am not as concerned. If I only get Wiggins, we'll see what Humphrey does. Humphrey's another one. He has a hard time staying healthy. So that's my big concern for my secondary right now. My D line and my linebackers, I'm less concerned for. But um, on that note, I guess for linebackers is David Ojabo was not cleared by the doctors to play for preseason. That's kind of what they're waiting on right now is for the doctors to clear him for contact. This does not bother me. He has not played pretty much at all since he was drafted. He is constantly hurt. Um, I know they were really excited about him coming out of the draft, uh, but he has not really had any kind of production for the Ravens. He hasn't been on the field long enough to do so. So, while yes, I hope he can join them soon, if he doesn't, it's not really a loss. We live without him constantly. So, yeah, obviously they didn't win their first preseason game. I cared less about that. Obviously, when they care a lot, they want that winning streak. It matters in their building. But just to see kind of what the guys put on tape was way more important for me. And seeing Zach Orr's defense for the first time was way more important. And I'm excited about what I see. I just would like the injuries to stop it.
Um,
Just stop it. All right, Brendan, talk to us about Seahawks.
really quickly, just to comment on the
Oh yeah.
Ravens. I did watch their preseason game.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I liked a lot what I saw, especially Nate Wiggins. He looked really good while he was playing. Really unfortunate to see him go down with that injury. Glad to hear it's not serious because again, he looked really good. Lots of pass
I almost
breakups.
I almost called you crying. I'm gonna be perfectly honest.
He looked really good. Something maybe in the future for him is just turn those pass breakups into interceptions. But it seems like for the moment it's him getting more used to the NFL, so I don't think
Yeah.
he's really trying to get the interceptions. I think he's really more focused on I just want to be in the position to not allow the catch, which I still think is fine. Um, there was a couple that I thought he might have been able to really pick off, but again,
Hmm.
that's not something I'd be really worried about. I think that might come with time with him, just him getting better. But yeah, he looked incredible. That defense still looks really solid. We'll talk about Mike McDonald's defense here, but it was really good to see Orr step up into that defensive coordinator role, and
Yeah.
it still looked really solid.
And I guess the thing that I respected the most, because obviously they gave up some yardage, the run defense wasn't anywhere what I would expect it to be. But I thought he called a really good defensive game.
Yeah,
Like, there was never a point where I was like, bro, what are you even doing? You know what I mean? Like, and
yeah,
that was the most important thing for me was he called a really good game.
yeah. Um, Other than that, looked pretty good. Uh, not a whole ton on offense to talk about for me. The defense really looked good though. It was unfortunate to see how the game ended. Just unfortunate to see the kicker miss and then get
Yeah,
a second
and then get
chance
another chance. I'm like,
immediately after. That
especially
was
because I was laughing. I was like, man, if that'd
yeah,
been Tucker, and then they got, I was like, screw you. This
yeah.
is
It
karma.
was
This is my karma.
but yeah, it was a good game.
Yeah,
Excited to see what they do. Now on to the Seahawks training camp. I have a
hell
lot to talk
yeah.
about, or Seahawks preseason. I have a lot to
Your
talk about.
notes are not that long, so
Oh, those notes are not very long. I
oh,
have an
you have
entire
separate
page
notes.
of notes on the game.
So I was
Like
like, his notes are not that intense.
just for
Okay.
reference. I don't know if you can see
I
because it's not
can't
going to
because you're
focus.
like fuzzy,
Yeah, it won't focus.
except for you.
But I have a legal notepad. The whole page is filled with
Okay,
notes.
let's get into it. Let's do it.
The reason I have so much to talk about is this is the first time we've seen the Seahawks team play. This is the first time we've seen McDonald. This is the first time we've seen a lot of this happen without
Yeah,
Carroll. So I just felt like I need to talk a lot about it just because of what it is. I
no,
want
that's
to
fair. I'm here for it.
I'm going to start really quickly with a few injuries. There was no injuries during the game, which I loved. That was like my favorite part of the game, is that no one got hurt. We're not like the Ravens where injuries happen.
Braggadocio.
um, no injuries happened during the
Because the
game.
Ravens play hard, bro.
That we were playing hard, just no one got hurt. I was very very lucky. There's just a few guys that were out for the game. Uh, Draymond Jones, still dealing with an injury, hasn't returned.
That's not true. Locke got hurt.
Locke,
Oh, damn, he's a giant.
good try. Is valiant effort. um,
Okay, go ahead.
I might be wrong, but it did not seem like anyone got hurt. But yeah, Dre
No, that's fair.
Jones, did not play. He's been dealing with an injury. It seems he'll be returning soon to practice. He'll be good to get back into that defensive line rotation. Same with Darrell Taylor. He's been dealing with a little injury. Didn't play in this game. He should be back practicing and really like getting going again here soon as well. Jerome Baker also did not play. He's dealing with a hamstring. He's more, they're not really sure yet. Hamstrings one though, that is really hard to tell. Some guys can return quickly. That's like an injury that is easy to re-aggravate, easy to mess up.
That's always the hesitation, is it's so easy to
Do it.
mess that up.
So
So,
he will probably be out for a little bit. He should be back for the season, guaranteed. We'll see how many preseason games snaps he plays. But he's still out. There's a None of our pup list players returned or have been activated off the pup list. So no, Abe Lucas still. He's really the big one. I'm really hoping he's back because we'll talk about it. The offensive line, I did not like it. They had moments.
okay.
It was a lot of backups though, so we'll get into this. Um, just to preface preseason, because I'm about to talk about a lot of positives, but it's preseason. The
Yeah,
Chargers played the vast majority of their backups. They had very few starters in the game,
yeah.
and I'll talk about that further. But I'll get into it. To start the game, the pretty much whole starting Seahawks defense played. Only Jerome Baker and Dre Jones and Darrell Taylor are starting. Were out. The whole starting defense played. It was fantastic. The two drives they played were both 3-and-outs. The Chargers could not move the ball. It was awesome to see. I was really excited. Have to pump the brakes a bit though, preseason. But it was great to see.
You got 4 interceptions. That's crazy.
I had one interception. I have the stats. I'll get
Okay, okay.
there.
I
I
thought it
had
was 4.
no.
Maybe it was just turnovers.
It was one interception, 4 turnovers because of turnovers on
Okay,
downs probably.
gotcha.
Um, but yeah. Offensively, no, there was like 2 starters. I had my starting right guard, our starting left guard, and Jackson Smith and Jigba played. So those are the only 3 starters on offense that actually played in the game. Um, I thought those 3 looked pretty good when they played. As an offense, there was definitely moments. I liked most of it. There was definitely some things I didn't like. The offensive line was one of them. The right tackle position, we really need Abe Lucas back. We had our third stringer in for most of the game. He did not look good. So I'm really hoping Abe Lucas is back. And if he's not back, I need George Fant, the veteran, to really step up and be the tackle until he is back. Because yeah, that the right tackle position did not look great. The left tackle position did not look great without Charles Cross playing. Thankfully, Charles Cross is fine. He just didn't play in the game because most of the starters didn't. Um, so I think once the offensive line is put together, I'm hoping it's fine. Um, but the depth at the
It
offensive
didn't look
line,
great.
has me a little worried. Um,
Okay.
we'll really see. Uh, so offensively, I thought we played an all right game. Howell looked fine. I thought his decision making was fantastic. Did not really have any. He had one pass that probably should have been picked off, but it was a screen pass, like a bubble screen. And on those kinds of plays, the quarterback is specifically instructed catch the ball, turn, throw. There's no, like, you are not reading the defense, you're not doing anything. You are simply catching the ball and throwing it. It
Mhm.
was very nearly picked off. And if it was picked off, it would have been a pick six. No one was stopping him. Thankfully, it wasn't. It ended up being an 11-yard play. Uh, Pretty good play, actually. But that was like the only pass that I was like, ooh, that was close. Otherwise, if nothing was there, he ran pretty well, or he just got rid of the ball out of bounds, which I love to see. I like to see quarterbacks not try to force things. Just
Yeah,
if it's not there,
it's
get
not there.
it's not there. He did take a couple sacks. One of them was just a straight up offensive line collapse. The other one, he tried to do a little too much, but I didn't mind it because he kept the ball. He just ended up taking the sack. So at the end of the day, I thought he played pretty well. Still some things to iron out. His accuracy was a little inconsistent, but other than that, he's definitely, I think, solidified the backup role
Okay.
because PJ Walker did not look good. Um,
Mhm.
Poor accuracy. Didn't put a lot of balls in danger, but he just didn't look like the offense wasn't really moving. Just the accuracy wasn't there. When he was in the game, the Seahawks didn't score anything but I think a field goal
Yeah.
at the time, so it just didn't move the offense very well. So that's really it for the offense. Again, not a ton of starters played, so I'm not necessarily that worried for what we saw. The game plan also looked very vanilla, very just basic, which
Just trying to get guys some targets.
is very
Just
normal for the preseason. You don't want to give
yeah.
too much away for what you're planning on doing.
Why I didn't really talk offense. I'm like, it's
Yeah,
I'm not worried about Todd Monken's offense. Like maybe like they're fighting for running back number 3. Like it's
I'm not
what do you want?
worried, but I did want to see a little more from
I
Grubb,
want to see a little more.
but
That's fair.
because he is a new coordinator, but I'm not worried. It did look pretty good at times, not so good in others. I think they'll have stuff to iron out. Uh, and then I'm going to talk special teams because I want to end on defense because that's really where I was excited. On special
Yeah.
teams, seeing the kick return live with my team in it was very different. Um, I thought we did some good things, not so good. I thought our coverage needs some work, needs some tweaking. It was kind of interesting to see Jay Harbaugh go against Jim
Yeah.
Harbaugh, his dad. That was a really fun matchup. That's kind of why I want to talk special teams. Is they were going at it a little bit. But yeah, I thought our coverage on it needs a little work. I really liked our kick return ability. That looked good. Had a couple nice returns, especially Laviska Shenault. Shenault
Hmm.
had a good return. So I think he's probably going to be the main kick returner. I think he solidified his job on the roster. And then that's really it for special teams. There wasn't a ton. Jason Myers has me a little worried. Missed a
Ooh,
PAT, and it was bad.
that's
And he's
crazy.
been having a little bit of a rough camp. So
Hmm.
I think he'll figure it out before the season starts. But
Hopefully.
normally a position that I'm not worried about being kicker because he's been a pretty good kicker in the league for a
He's been
while.
consistent. He's been solid. Yeah.
He's been struggling so far. So I'm kind of hoping he rights the ship. Camp's just been like a moment to forget, and we'll
Yeah.
move on. I guess we'll see. Other than that, not a whole ton to talk about with special teams. Getting to the real meat of it, watching Mike McDonald's defense was probably the best thing on the planet. It was so nice.
You're
Just
welcome.
yeah,
You're welcome.
I could not be happier with the hire. It's preseason, so I probably should calm down a bit. But in the moment, I was like, I think I texted you. I was like, in the
Yeah.
I'm in love with this defense. I've calmed down a bit since then. But just for reference, the Seahawks on defensively on third down last year were about the worst team in the league. I don't think they were quite the worst, but they were in like the bottom 5. Against the Chargers had 15% on third downs. They were 2 for 13. The Seahawks got them off the field consistently with minimal yardage. Like the time of possession, we were last in the league last year in time of possession. We dominated them. It was 39 minutes to 21 minutes time of possession. The defense got off the field. The offense kept the ball. Could not be happier with that. There was 198 total yards allowed on defense. For preseason, that's
That's
impressive.
really good. That's really good.
Preseason, you normally see a higher yards allowed purely because you have third stringers, fourth stringers, like
Yeah.
you have lesser guys. Even the backups, I felt played fantastic. Like backups on backups, it looked really good. There was 5 3-and-outs, which that was really nice to see. The Chargers could not move the ball, could not get first downs. Um, so the defense was really good. I even have like the first 3 drives for the Chargers offense were all 3-and-outs, followed by an interception, and then 2 more 3-and-outs. So the first 6 drives, the Chargers could not move the ball. That was really when the second stringers came out, and then the third stringers came in, and even then, the seventh, their only points was a 58-yard field goal, but the Chargers only had to go like 20 yards down the field to get there. So
Okay.
even the little bit the Chargers did to get points, it wasn't a ton. Um, Other than that, yeah, the defense just dominated. It was so good to see, like everyone on the field, just to see the tackling. There was 2 missed tackles, two, two on a Seahawks team that could not tackle last year
Yeah.
to save
That's
their.
2 is
Th-
really impressive.
that I think is like the biggest change I saw
Mhm.
is and one of the missed tackles I don't think really counts. It does.
Okay.
uh, the Seahawks rookie Byron Murphy had the quarterback in his hands for the sack, let him go. The quarterback takes 2 steps and immediately gets sacked afterwards.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, he missed the tackle, but it didn't affect anything. I would have liked him to like wrap him up, really get hit that sack.
Follow
Um,
through with it.
but I will say one of the best things I saw was he missed the sack, went to the sideline. Jaron Reed, um, Leonard Williams, and Jonathan Hankins, 3 longtime veterans in the league, all came to talk to him. It looks like they were joking around with him, giving him advice. So just being veterans, that was fantastic to see. And it seemed like Murphy was really soaking in and trying to talk with them and was learning. So love to see that.
Making sure you learn from the mistake, not dwell on it.
Yeah, but he looked great. Um, yeah, as a whole, the defense looked awesome. Um, that's really it. Like the
That's
defense
awesome.
just played well. 2 missed tackles for a team that tackling was a huge
Could
struggle.
not tackle for shit last year.
Yeah, like the Steelers game, there was like
Yeah.
that's the game for me that I think sealed Pete Carroll's fate because they just could not tackle. And to see McDonald come in and to see that kind of in a preseason game where you're kind of expecting missed tackles to happen because you have lesser players out there. Like it's just a fact. So you expect missed tackles to happen, but to see the whole team for 2 missed tackles the whole game, it showed a real level of coaching, and that's what I'll say. And very few penalties. This team looked really well coached, like disciplined. Few penalties on defense, few penalties on offense. Not a ton of false starts, not a ton of holdings. I think there was an illegal man downfield at one point. Um, but at the end of the day, whatever. Like it just looked disciplined, well coached, not a ton of missed tackles. Like overall, I could not have
Yeah.
asked for a better preseason game for
Nice.
compared to what Seattle was last year. Like being better on third down, being better with getting off the field, missing less tackles, being more disciplined on defense. Like
You just see clear improvement
yeah,
already.
it was almost a perfect preseason game. Like very close. Um,
Uh, Obviously, like I didn't watch it at the time. Um, I didn't watch it. I had picked. Oh, I was watching the Ravens game. Right?
you're watching the replay.
Yeah, I was watching something.
I think you were
I was
watching
watching something
Chiefs
else.
Jaguars. Chiefs Jaguars was happening at the
That's
same
right.
time.
I was watching Chiefs Jags. Um.
Yeah, because I couldn't find the Seahawks. I had to like search for the Seahawks game to watch
Oh,
it live.
I I didn't watch it, but I trust you because you're very honest when it comes to critique of your team. Like that's um but I know you were had been talking how you thought like how was eventually meant to be the plan after Gino. So to hear he had a good game is awesome. Um and then yeah, I mean, I didn't expect anything different out of this defense. I know what McDonald can do. I'm glad you finally got to see it in the green, in Seattle, because it's one thing for me to sit there and say he's gonna fix it, but they're two
The,
different teams, it's two different guys. So for you to like actually get to be like, this is what it's gonna be, and we're just gonna get more and more elite as you add starters and as you get things ironed out. So that's
yeah,
awesome.
I
Glad to hear that. It sounds like McDonald's having success over there. He's doing what he was brought in to do.
yeah it was definitely very uplifting to see. Just a couple more things because this happened
Yeah.
yesterday. Center Nick Harris of the Seahawks, who started the game last night, played 12 snaps, has been traded to the Browns with a seventh round pick in the 2076 draft in exchange for a sixth round pick in that draft. This comes on the right before Connor Williams, the center formerly of the Miami Dolphins, has signed a 1 year, $6 million deal with the Seahawks. So they just traded a center to sign a center.
Yeah.
This makes a ton of sense. Connor Williams will come in and probably start right away if he's healthy. I'm very happy about this signing, especially because the center struggled a little bit. That would have probably started for Seattle. Struggled a little bit. Definitely had a moment where he just completely whiffed a block that led to a tackle for a loss on fourth down on the goal line. So I still have faith in this kid because he was a rookie last year. Uh, but to bring in Connor Williams to hopefully solidify that offensive line across the board, I'm really happy about. But yeah, trading Nick Harris, I think, was just to open the roster spot. And I saw this reported. I think he only played 12 snaps last night. I think because he played really arbitrary time. I think the trade happened yesterday during the game, was finalized today
So they pulled
or
him from
yesterday
the field so that he couldn't get hurt.
because the Browns just had their backup center break his ankle. So I think the Browns sat there and went, "We had this guy for a while. You signed him from us. Our
Will
center
you give
just
him back?
yeah,
Yeah.
we'll take him back. You're signing him. Can we work out a deal?" So it makes sense for both teams. I think Seahawks get pretty good value in terms of getting a 6th round pick for a guy is never something, or upgrading a 7th round pick to a 6th round pick,
Yeah.
never nothing. And I would say technically you're also trading for Connor Williams in the process in a way
Yeah.
of you're getting something and now you can sign Williams to a roster spot. So I'm pretty excited to see that. He is still coming back from the ACL tear. So we're not really sure when he'll start practicing or whether he'll be truly ready for week one. Signs point to he will be. I think that's why they traded Harris and they are really like focused on Williams. But other than that, yeah, it that's a good move. Don't have a ton left to talk about with Seattle.
Awesome.
But yeah, that the
No,
defense, man.
I mean, sounds like it was a great outing. I realized where my 4 interception thing came from. I confused the Chargers and the Rams.
That
Is that happened? The Rams had that, but Yeah,
Yeah, the
I
Ra-
was like, "No, it was 4." No, it was the Rams.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
the Rams threw 4 interceptions. Yeah,
Yeah. So, I realized yeah, it sounds like it was a good day in Seattle,
yeah,
with a new center and seeing what your defense did, so that's awesome, and obviously, we'll keep an eye on it.
yeah.
Um, I do wanna talk other teams during
Okay.
preseason a little bit. It's hard right now when we're not as invested in the teams like we are Seattle and Baltimore
Yeah,
to really tell you what all's going on because I don't follow their drafts as closely or I don't follow, some of their off-season moves as much unless they're
yeah.
names I recognize.
Mhm,
Um, Obviously this was a big year for quarterbacks drafting.
mhm.
So that was kind of what I paid attention to during preseason
Yeah, I
was all of these young quarterbacks.
mhm.
I felt like they all looked pretty good. They all kind of looked as advertised.
Yeah,
Um JJ I think looked better than advertised. I think under a Harbaugh offense, he looked very specific, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think you got to see him open up his game plan a little more with the Vikings. You saw him run a little bit. You saw a little bit more mobility.
yeah,
Um, Obviously, Caleb Williams looked pretty good. Um,
yeah. I thought he looked the best of the rookies.
yeah, and by far. And I don't. I honestly, I think Bo Nix contends with that. Actually, I think Bo Nix.
Yeah, Bo Nix had a really good outing.
Um, Jaden Daniels looked good. He had some off script plays. Showed his mobility. Drake May, honestly, for everyone yelling about how he's a project, I thought for the very little he played, I was actually impressed with what he did. He moved the ball, he got points. That's really what you're looking for.
Yeah,
The reason I say this, because I'm going to take it back to the thing I mentioned with the Olympics,
mhm.
with we're seeing fewer and fewer world records being broken.
Yeah,
I can't help but wonder if we're at kind of the peak of athleticism worldwide right now.
okay.
Here's why I say that. We talk about quarterbacks, right? Everybody likes to rank quarterbacks, we like to compare them, we like to do all these things.
Yeah,
And while I think there's a firm top 4 when
mhm.
you look at overall talent, athleticism, and ability to win in spite of problem X, you know,
Yeah,
I think beyond that, the term that keeps getting thrown around, which has become kind of like a knock, is game manager.
mhm.
Purdy is not given a ton of credit because he's a game manager. He has the Avengers surrounding him. He has this A plus roster. Bo Nix, I've heard several people since the Broncos played call him a game manager. Of he made the right play, he made the right decision, they scored, we moved on with our lives. I think I have a problem with this term, or that it's a bad thing. Because when you genuinely look at some of the past greats, I would like you to tell me what they did athletically that made them elite. Tom Brady is the GOAT of quarterbacks. That is unquestioned. There's no doubt. If you're confused, you're stupid. 7 of 10 Super Bowl wins to immediately go to a new team and win. It's phenomenal. It's unprecedented. Nobody's done it since. Patrick Mahomes has a long way to go. But he was not an athletic specimen. He did not have this phenomenal deep ball. He didn't roll out of the pocket. He game managed. Peyton Manning, The one time he ran the ball, the ref was confused.
Yeah.
But he could understand and read a defense like nobody has ever. He game managed. Joe Montana sat in the pocket. He made great decisions. He never had a ton of turnovers, and he won. But he game managed. So I'm wondering at what point we decided that being a game manager wasn't good enough. Yes, Mahomes can do these crazy things that if you're teaching how to play quarterback, you don't look at his film. It's wrong. Don't do that. It shouldn't work out, but it does. If you're teaching a quarterback, we watched Hard Knocks and they had the slide drill, right?
Yeah.
Nobody has ever probably done a slide drill with Josh Allen because he's like, I'm a bulldoze somebody. I don't care. That's not what you're supposed to do.
No.
It works out, but I bet they'd like you to do it a little less. Lamar Jackson is the most dynamic running quarterback in the history of the NFL. It's great. I love it. But it's not what people are drafting. There are still questions, can you win at an elite level like this? And that's yet to be answered. Until he gets a Super Bowl, that's the question. So I'm doing this. Brock Purdy is my top 5. Because until you can find me somebody
I found somebody.
that works at this elite level, that wins like he does, because of something just crazy, being a game manager is perfectly acceptable.
I don't
And
disagree.
it is what the greats have done.
Yeah, I still don't think Brock Purdy's in my top 5.
And that's fair. That's fair. And I can respect the point.
I would put Matthew Stafford at in my top 5
That's fair.
over Brock
I
Purdy.
wildly respect that. So maybe, because I do like Stafford, maybe he's 6.
But I completely agree with her. Like being a
But
game
like,
manager is not a bad
I'm
thing.
just wondering at what point, because, and we also use the term system quarterback. I would like you to find me a quarterback that you can pluck out of their system and put somewhere else, and they're going to succeed. I'd like you to name me one.
Lamar, okay, here.
I think there are some you could have mild success with. I think you could swap Lamar and Allen.
Mahomes cannot swap with Lamar.
No, God no,
Lamar
God no,
cannot swap with Mahomes.
no.
I don't even think Allen and Lamar could swap.
I think you would have the easiest time. I do not think Allen would have the same success in Lamar's offense, and I do not think Lamar would have the same
No.
success in Allen's. But I think you would get something comparable. But they are all system quarterbacks. They need a system that works for them. They need game plans that work for them. That's who they are. I felt this way thinking about Bo Nix. I'm I thought he had an impressive preseason outing. But now the commentary is, well, he's a game manager. Cool. Sounds good. An elite quarterback. That's what that sounds like to me. That's what that sounds like to me. Because what else do you want them to do? They shouldn't have to go out there and make the crazy shit happen just to win. If you build an effective team around them, manage the game, win the game, make the right throws at the right times. You don't have to do the crazy shit.
No, yeah.
That's called solid football. It shouldn't be a knock. It should be a good team, good quarterback, good job. Have a great day. Thank you. I think there are teams out there that would kill for a game managing quarterback. Kill. You think the Giants aren't sitting there going, damn, could have had Bo Nix. Damn. Could have had JJ. Damn. Should have fought harder for Jaden or Drake,
Shit, you could have
who is a game
Penix.
manager. That's what we need. That's what we need. That's what you need. That's what everybody needs. I think the negative commentary on game manager needs to go away. I would like you to point me to a Hall of Fame quarterback, not Elway, because he did some crazy shit, that wasn't just a solid game manager. If that's
I,
what they did.
is he in the hall?
Yes.
No, not Elway. Vic.
Oh, yes, he
Yeah,
is.
no shit. Elway is. Is Michael Vick in the hall?
No.
Okay, I could not remember. I didn't think he was. I, I, I can't give you one off the top of my head right now.
I
Uh,
just,
okay.
that's what they did. And I get that athleticism has changed, and that's why I brought it to the Olympic thing.
I was about to say,
But
you
at
in the
some
Olympic thing, I have that I could not follow.
but at some point, Lamar was knocked for his speed, and they were like, maybe you should be a wide receiver. At some point, the athleticism works against you at any position. You can be too fast to be a wide receiver. The ball's not going to get there that fast. You can be too big to be an online. You can be too strong. You can have all these things. So at some point, there's a cap on how good of an athlete you can be. So I can't help but wonder if we're seeing this peak level of athleticism with humanity. And if that requires us to change how we define greatness. Because I don't think anybody would tell you if you want a gold medal at the Olympics right now, but you didn't break a world record, well, you suck. You still want a gold medal. You still beat everybody else around you. So because there are not Mahomes coming out of the draft, there's not Lamar, there's not Allen, there's not Burrow coming out of the draft. We need to change how we look at quarterbacks and how we define elite.
Yeah, I I couldn't agree more. Like, because
Shoulder shrug at me.
you've like floored me with this because I was not expecting this like at all.
I was neither, and then swear to God, the metal thing came up, and I was like, bro, I think this is it. I don't know how much better the world can get in some of these things.
But so I agree. But I think there should also be. I just don't think you should call a quarterback a game manager. I feel like
I just think that like if that's the knock on them, it's not a knock.
no, it's because I still think there are elite game managers, and then there are okay game managers.
Because I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you. I do not think I would call Lamar a game manager.
No, but
He's an elite quarterback, but he doesn't game manage.
no, but
That's his knock. That's
okay.
his problem.
I would say Brock Purdy is an elite game manager. He wins a lot. He does really well. But I think like a game manager, let's just go out and say like Bo Nix is a game manager. I would say he's an okay game manager.
Yeah.
He still makes, I don't want to say mistake. Like it's unfair for him. I'm trying to think of someone else in the league that I can sit there and go, you know, you manage a game, you just don't manage it quite as well.
Yeah.
So like a uh I don't know. I'll think of somebody.
I yeah.
But I think game manager at this point should be along the lines of like elite athleticism or elite arm talent, elite.
Yeah.
It should be
Because
part of that where you have categories of like you are an elite game manager, you are a mid-tier game manager, you are a bottom
I just
tier.
think it, I just think that game manager should start being a quality,
Yeah,
not
no, that's fine. Like,
a knock. Is if you can manage a game, if you can keep the ball moving effectively, efficiently, you get points.
because I
That's
would
called winning.
okay, because I like your example. I'd much rather have a game manager that can move me down the field consistently than a, let's just say, a worse version of a like a Lamar who has all the athleticism in the world but struggles passing the
To
ball,
move the ball. Yeah.
is throwing interceptions, is
Mhm.
not hitting his receivers, is doing a very poor job at being a quarterback. I'd much rather have a guy that has less athleticism, but can still function in the
They'll move
offense.
the ball.
And now, obviously, you want a Lamar Jack, you want a Mahomes, where
Yeah,
their
and that's great,
elite athleticism or their elite ability to make things happen
but that's
make
generational
them,
talent.
yeah, generational.
Like, and that's great, and those are great things to have. But I think another great thing to have is a game manager.
I
Someone that
think
you can put the ball in their hands and just I'm not saying you wouldn't pick an elite over a game manager.
I think
But okay, like we were watching the draft, right? And everyone was like, "Well, Bo Nix is maybe a second round." I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. If I were New England, based off what I saw, I probably would have drafted Bo Nix. When you do not have an elite wide receiver core and you need someone that can go out there and consistently hit his targets and move down the field, why would you not do that?
because I would say Drake May's potential to be a better game manager is the reason. Because I
But
think
we
Drake
don't know
May,
that.
but the like Bo Nix for me is not a, coming out of college was not looked at under the
Because
right.
he's a game manager.
No, not even that. Is in college, one, you're an older prospect. Two, he just didn't do a ton anyway, even as a game manager. He still had moments of, he just
You
looked,
watched more college football than I did. But watching these preseason games,
I'm not, no,
obviously there's there's still a lot of football to be played. I just think we need to adjust how we look at it.
I think, honestly, you should have, it shouldn't be adjusting how we look at it per se. It should be, you have generational quarterbacks. You have Mahomes, Lamar, and shit like that.
Yeah.
People like that. And then you have your elite game managers. I think you should not be talking about, like, because to me Brock Purdy's not generational. He's just an
No.
elite game manager. It should not be a knock, but you should not try to then compare them to the generational talents.
No, absolutely. That's fair. That's fair.
I
That's fair.
think that's what should be. Is
It's
you're
because you're
trying
expecting you're like, "Oh, well, he's not Mahomes." Well, no shit, nobody's Mahomes.
yeah, you're trying to, like, Mahomes is generational, Lamar is generational, Allen is like, comparing these, like, Tom Brady was generational at being a game manager.
Yeah.
Peyton Manning was generational. Trying to compare standard, like, I say standard, trying to compare like elite to standard quarterbacks to the generational is not fair to them. And I think
No.
that's
That's what
what
needs
we're
to change.
doing.
That's fair. That's fair.
Is you are
I just do. I
you're trying to
I just go ahead.
you're trying to compare Brock Purdy's abilities to like Lamar. That's not going to work.
No.
Like, it should just be Lamar's in a league of his own, Mahomes is in a league of its own, but Purdy is still elite at game managing. his game management should not be a knock on him.
And that's my issue. And I just do. I can't help but think we've hit this peak.
I disagree
And
with that though, but
we'll see. I
I
just do.
think
I think there comes a point when the athleticism or some of these things begin to work against you. And I think I was given evidence by the Olympics.
I don't think so. I think it's hard because I think people can still get more. I don't think we're at a peak yet. I think
Okay.
people can still get more. I think we're seeing it still in the NFL, especially where you see.
We disagree sometimes. It does happen. I feel like we've agreed a lot on the podcast, but as the season goes on to our viewers, you and conversations open up. Um,
This has also
we
been one
actually
of the
disagree
most
quite a bit.
civilized disagreements we've had in a while.
Trying not to scream at each other. That way, our listeners aren't going, "What the fuck?"
Well, I don't promise that
You'll
later.
have to put that note in the video.
Um,
Turn volume down.
yeah, headphones
We
listeners.
yell.
Um,
We had the one the other day, like 2 weeks ago,
yeah, where
about
we
my half
got
a point stat.
yeah. Don't even. We're not even gonna entertain that right now. Um,
um,
but yeah,
but so yeah, that was kind of
I I wasn't quite done.
my revelation.
But yeah, I still think there's room to improve athletically, especially I think we are. We're seeing people faster, stronger, and we're going to, I think, continue to see that. Now, I don't disagree that there will be a peak. I just don't think we're quite there yet.
And that's fair. Um, I do want to talk real quick. Steelers quarterbacks. Um, because I watch an extreme number of talk shows
Mm-hmm.
about football. And this has been a major conversation the last 2 weeks. And I would just like us to weigh in.
All right, let's do it.
Of everyone was like Russell Wilson's the starting quarterback. With Fields having the chance to take the job from him if he plays well.
Yeah.
I think looking at their schedule, we'll maybe put that up a little graphic. By the bye week, if he's not playing well, that's when you would see that change.
Mm-hmm.
They have a very difficult second half of their schedule. That's when all of their division games come. Like it is very hard in the second half. And then Wilson got hurt during training camp,
Yep.
and Fields was able to get more reps, get more time with the ones, get more
Mm-hmm.
things. So now everyone's wondering, can Fields take the starting job?
Not based on
Here's here's what I'd like to say. The answer was no. 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 Um we watched 3 years of Fields starting in Chicago. And you can blame whatever you'd like on the O line or the coach or the XYZ. Williams just had the same thing and played much better than Fields did, just so we're clear.
I will say, just to defend Fields a little bit, the Bears did actually try to rebuild for Williams.
And I do not disagree with that point at all.
I'm
But
not
we've
saying
talked about what makes a good quarterback. And that means you have to win in spite of certain things. You are not always going to have the 49ers roster. Like, you have to, at some point, at least do something really well. But we saw Saturday, you fumbled the ball, you threw interceptions, you had all of these problems. You have always had. He is not a starting quarterback in the NFL.
no,
I'm sorry. I really am. I know that's your dream.
or not yet, at least. I don't know if he'll
I am
get
not
there.
saying Wilson is the answer for Pittsburgh. I
He's
don't think that.
not.
But I do not think that Fields can outright win this job. I
I
don't think there's a shot in hell.
not how he played Saturday
Yeah.
or Friday. I
I
don't remember.
I will say, I think the one thing that works in his favor, simply as a guy in the NFL, is kind of like Drew Lock or Gardner Minshew. He is well liked.
Yeah, he's well
Like
liked,
locker rooms love Russ or love Justin Fields.
and teams like the thought of if they can get the most out of him, his athleticism and his ability to make things happen that we've seen in like small doses really
But it's
entices
not
teams, but
consistent.
it's not consistent. He's
He
struggling.
has zero level of consistency on anything. And I just don't see a shot. I don't.
No, um,
If you take that job from him, even in season, I think Fields is replaced at the end of the year.
I think they draft a QB at the end of the year, but we'll
Like,
see. The Steelers are one. I think they're putting a lot of faith in those two, and I don't think those two are gonna pay out. Um,
no.
there is one more thing I want to talk about with training camp and
Okay.
preseason because we mentioned this beforehand. Guardian caps being
Yep. Yep.
possibly worn during the season. Uh, we've had people wear them in preseason. I don't know all of them. I know like a few. Uh, Speaking of the Steelers, their right guard James Daniel, I I think that was his name,
Hold on.
was wearing a Guardian cap during the season. Uh, and then I think a very big one is Jonathan Taylor, the running back of the Indianapolis Colts, was wearing one. Both of these um, are very interesting. We're starting to see more players. The Colts had a couple wear one, a couple of them wear them. So we're starting to see possibly people wearing them during preseason, which might
Yeah.
carry over to the regular season. Um, no one on Seattle wore any, I don't believe. Geno Smith did not play, so he was one of the ones that said he might. So he didn't play, so we didn't get to see that. I didn't see any other quarterbacks do it.
Mm-mm.
Um,
I kind of think there's only one quarterback that I think might, and that's Tua.
I think Tua should.
Yeah. No, yeah. I'm going to be honest with you. If I were Mike McDonald, he wouldn't have a choice. I'd be like, you know, put that like make it work, bro. Make it work.
Yeah, it.
Um,
But those were the two big ones I saw. I didn't really see any, or like I saw a lot of the Colts wear them, but I didn't get names of the other Colts wearing them. I saw a guy on defense, one of their middle linebackers was wearing one. Um, I didn't see any other teams have one
I
on.
didn't see it. None on the Ravens. I'm just now having this thought. Do you think it's possible that not for everybody, or not like as a consistent thing, but we will start to see policies about requiring you to wear them? Like take Tua, for instance.
I think
If you have a concussion
I think that's where
and then are cleared to come back,
y-
you have to wear a Guardian cap for at least 1 or 2 games.
that's I think the policy that'll come is like let's say you get a concussion week 3, you're out week 4, you're cleared to come back week 5. I think from week 5 to week like 7, you have to wear a guardian cap, and then from there you can decide again. Um,
But
but I do.
coming off of one,
Uh,
I do think this might be a hot take. I don't know. I understand I'm not a neurologist, but I kind of think if you get a concussion, you should be required to sit out 1 week.
yeah, I was just using that as an example, but
Yeah,
we'll
no, I just like I think that. I think that you should be required to sit out 1 week.
for the most part you they do. There are occasions where it's not, but I kind of agree. I think you should be. Um,
We saw Bridgewater come back. I understand the Tua thing was weird, where
we're not really
I understand
sure.
all that. But like so many of them, they're like, "Oh yeah, I sat out the whole week. I didn't practice. I got cleared by an independent neurologist day 6. I'm a play." No, bro, sit your ass down.
Yeah.
Like, sit down.
Um, but it'll be interesting to see if more starters, because I think those are the only two starters that put him on. Um, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Uh, the policy
I
changes that
thought
might.
Jonathan Taylor was really interesting.
And then you had brought something up. I felt like of what happens if one falls off. Based
Yeah,
on
like,
what
are there gonna be
based
rules
on
on that?
I'm seeing, it looks very difficult for that to happen.
Okay,
The way they're attached, it seems like they're almost like built, not built in, but they're attached in a way that it can't pop off
okay.
without you like
So
taking
really,
it
if
off.
it comes off, it's because the whole helmet came off.
Yeah, or like something happened that is a bigger
There's
problem
a
in a
bigger
way
problem. Okay, because
of
yeah, I
like
did ask you that.
so we'll still see. Maybe during games we see it more often when people might be wearing it more. I don't really know. Again, this is preseason. Maybe some players are just doing it for preseason. This is uncharted territory we're in.
Sorry. Yeah.
But I
It'll be
thought,
interesting to see, and then yeah, I think if any rules come out about them, that'll be interesting.
yeah, I think that'll be next year. I think they'll take this year to
Oh
see
yeah,
how it's going in season and who's wearing them. Get that
get
data back,
feedback from those players
and then depending on the situation, I really think that the like you got a concussion, you now have to wear them for a couple of
for
games
at least a week
afterward.
or two.
I
Yeah,
think that is probably going to be the next step, but we'll see. Um, the NFL does do a pretty good job of trying to make it safer. They,
especially concussion wise, like that's their number one priority.
I've seen a lot of people kind of bashing the NFL for this. I don't personally think though. I do kind of want to be like, why aren't we engineering helmets to kind of be safer without these things on? That's a
Yeah,
valid question to ask. I am not really sure of like the science behind it, of like engineering a helmet to kind
of
of
like,
in
why do you need this outside thing too? Like, why can't we
I that science I think I understand because it helps reduce the amount of
of
like
like shockwave
yeah
that
through the
comes
helmet.
through? But yeah, I just don't understand why can't we just design helmets a little like I don't know, I guess why can't you just design the helmets to have this concept on the outside in general? I don't know. I don't.
We'll see what comes, but yeah, I thought it was an interesting thing. Um, so that is it for us today. Again, we talked Olympics, we talked football. It's been a good episode. If you have any questions from teams, if you want us to talk about any teams, leave a comment down below. We happily talk about other teams, focus on other teams during preseason. Again, because it's preseason, we watch the games. We're just not like invested and truly focused on them
Yeah.
like we are with the Seahawks and the Ravens. So if there's a team you want us to focus on, or if there's players or things you want us to focus on, let us know. We'll try. If there's anything else you want us to talk about, drop a comment. We'll look at them. We'll uh, answer and we'll talk about stuff. Um, other than that,
Don't forget to like or subscribe if you're still rocking with us.
yeah. And I've been Brendan.
I am oh, and I am Dallas, and this is Flock's Nest Podcast.
See you.